Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make these sweet little rose flowers. You can use them to attach to hats like I've shown here. This is my baby star stitch hat that I made for my granddaughter Rose. As you can see, I've had some custom tags made for her, and I had to make some rose flowers just for her. So this custom tag is from Brick Bubble, and you can check that out in the description box. You can really use any yarn for this pattern. It's just going to give you different size roses. This one shown here, I've used Heatherly sport weight yarn, and then these other flowers I have done to match the hat in Color Theory from Lion Brand by Two of Wands, but really these are worsted. This one is a sport weight. They're not too far off in weight, but you can see this one's slightly smaller than this. So if you're using the Heatherly, it does come in a hank, and you'll need to roll that into some cakes before you work with it. And I've just used the tails to tie on the rose so I can interchange the colors if I want. I'll be using a 4.5mm crochet hook for this tutorial. And we're going to begin with a slip knot on our hook. And I'm going to chain out a total of 62. Okay, so I have my chain of 62. Now in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to work a single crochet. Then I'll chain 2. I'm going to skip the next chain and I'll single crochet into the next. Chain 2. Skip a chain and single crochet into the next. And we're going to do this all the way across our chain. So we're making these chain 2 spaces, skip a chain, and single crochet. Okay, so work that all the way across. I'm going to meet you up at the end. Okay, so you should be coming up to your final 2 chains. We'll chain 2 and single crochet in that last chain. So now I have a total of 30 chain 2 spaces, and I'm going to evenly space out my petals. So I'm going to have a single crochet petal, I'm going to have a half double crochet petal, and a double crochet petal. So I'm going to have 10 of each. So I have it evenly distributed. So my suggestion is, if you want to make this smaller or larger, to go in a multiple of 6, add 6 to that 62, or reduce it by 6. So that gives you an extra. So if you went up by 6, you would have an extra single crochet petal, an extra half double, and an extra double. Unless you want uneven amounts, then you can kind of just go in that multiple of 2. But if you want them even, go in that multiple of 6. But otherwise, if you like the size that I'm working with, just follow along with this pattern. So now what we're going to do is turn. Okay, so once you've turned, we're going to start out with our first petal in the first chain 2 space. So we're going to work a single crochet and then 3 double crochets. So this will be our double crochet petal. Then we'll work a single crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. So this will be our first petal. Into the next chain 2 space, we'll single crochet, work 3 double crochets. Single crochet and slip stitch into that chain or the single crochet. So now we'll work a total of 10 in the double crochet. Okay, so I've worked 10 petals with our double crochets. So every petal has 5 stitches and it's going to look something like this. So it's going to start to naturally want to curl. So now the next 10 spaces, we're going to do the half double crochet petals, which will be a single crochet, and then 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet. And then we'll slip stitch into the single crochet. Single crochet and 3 half doubles. Single crochet and a slip stitch into the single crochet. So I'm going to complete now 10 of the half double crochet petals. Okay, so now we're coming up to our last 10 and they are all going to be single crochets. I've already slip stitched, so now we'll work 5 single crochets in the chain 2 space. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll slip stitch into the single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's looking like this. So our petals are just gradually getting smaller. So I'm going to complete working my final 10 petals across. And in that final stitch, I'm just going to do a slip stitch, and then I'm going to fasten off with a long tail and pull that through. So now I'm going to take my yarn needle Now this isn't necessary to do this step, but I just feel like it secures the rows a little bit more. So what you're going to do is just weave your yarn basically down through a stitch under each of the petals. You don't want to pull it too tight though. Let's just weave that through. Because I'm going to form the rose shape after I do this. And it's okay if you're skipping some of the petals, even every other petal, weaving that through. So this will naturally want to pull it into sort of that accordion shape. But I'm just going to take my rose, starting with our single crochet petals, and I am going to weave it around. Just so I can have better control over how it looks, because we want, if we just pull, it will stack them more on top of each other, and we want to flare them out a little bit to see all of those petals. So if you choose not to weave through, that's okay. Just start putting your rows together. I've done it both ways and it works. Okay. Give that string a little tug now, just making sure that all of our pieces stay together. And then I'm going to do some weaving because we want the bottom of the rows to become more secure with all of those layers. So I'm just weaving through them. I'm also going to go up through the center. And I'm going to take this tail make sure I sew that last petal so it blends right in. And you're just wanting to make sure your rose is all secure at this point. So if you need to do any more weaving through layers, you can do that. And then I like to leave that I have these tails to sew or to tie our rose to a hat or whatever you want to attach it to. I'm just going to trim them up so that they're even. So here is another one, and if you choose not to weave that tail, that's okay. You can just make sure you do lots of weaving through to make sure it's all secure. So we'll do this one without that. We'll have this tail a little bit in our way as we go. But you can weave it down through the rows. I just feel the other way gives me a little bit more control, like I don't feel like my rose is coming apart as I do this. You can sort of see all of the layers here. We'll need to sew this rose here as well. Okay, so it's really easy. I just want to go through getting all of these layers. Till you feel that you have your rose nice and secure. Sort of bring it into the center. And we just want this final petal here to blend in. Whoops. That starting tail that when you put that first slip knot on, if you leave it with a little bit of length, it will give you more play for tying at the end as well. Oops. And then you can just use your fingers to sort of get your shape, the end. This tail is a little short, but I think it will still work for tying. Give that one a trim. So try these out with any weight of yarn and any size of hook to coordinate with your yarn to get different size roses. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so that you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. If you click through below to the description box, you'll find all the links needed. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.